name is Mrs. Cindy Atajan, but I am an author of 3 books. I'm into children evangelism. I'm married to Mr. Bart Sylvester. He's the founder of New Greek Life Center.
Nice having you today. It's been an amazing time knowing you.
Thank you.
And handling that pressure of knowing it's not time to get married, but that pressure that comes with family, friends, society, putting in time frame to marriage.
My journey with Christ began with the pressure of getting married. I met God in 2016. I started my work with God in 2016. What prompted my work with God was I began a Sunday school teacher because I didn't want to marry the kind of men I saw people around me got married to. So there was a kind of picture of that man that I wanted. But then, when I began to work with God, I now found out that I was not the woman that man wants. So in as much as I wanted to get married, yes, it was there. I had relationships, not one. I had relationships that were willing to marry me at that point. But they looked like what I didn't like. But when I now went to God, when I found God, I met a lot of people who gave me messages, and I now found out that I was not the woman I wanted. I was not that woman that deserved that kind of man. So that led to my first book that I started writing. God showed me a platform, and I started writing the first book, The Happening Woman. When I started writing the book, it was a recap of the Proverbs 31 woman, and God started working on me. And God told me that the season I would dedicate this book, my marriage was going to open. But it looked like I started working on that book. I worked, it got to a point I started writing another one, Choosing the Queen, positioning yourself for the kind of man in my heart. So that I wrote that book in 3 months. I was able to publish the book. That was not my first book, but that was the first published book that I had. So after that, I did another book for children, still waiting on God and then trusting God to open up that man that I wanted. And the children book still opened. The man didn't show up. Yes. So fast forward to 2025, I met the man in 2024, but at that time my heart was already battered and bruised. So I was not serious with him, though he was a very patient man. He came around and I was a very strict person. That time it was just purpose. I've let go of marriage and I followed my purpose, knowing what God had told me about the book. So he came and I told him to go away. Me, I don't keep men around me. So he left 2024. And then during this book dedication, I now sent the invitation to him. Just one IV said, I'm coming. And he came. And I'm like, what kind of man is this? This man is patient. So the book was dedicated, and then he was looking for a platform to come, and I gave him the platform, and the whole thing started. But in between 2016 and 2025, it was a whole lot of
waiting
drama. There was a time I was not permitted to visit any man. There was a time I was not permitted to have any close relationship with any man. All the people around me were ladies. So when God now opened me up to a season when a season when I should communicate with the opposite sex, I yielded. And then it was so confusing because it was a long time of staying, and then blending with the opposite sex became very difficult. And I went back to God. I asked him, I said, this thing is difficult. Give me one standard I will hold on to. And the Lord gave me a standard. He said, I'm going to give you a rule. If you keep this rule, you will get it right. Tell the man, anyone who comes around you, tell him that you will not visit him. It's not as if we were not going to visit him, but if his intention is not right, he will not agree to the standard.
Very sure.
So I kept watching. When the man come out, say, see, I have a standard, and the standard is I don't visit men to their house. Are you going to go? Some of them will say, okay. And then in 3, 4, 5 weeks, they will begin to say, there was one dramatic event that happened. I love chicken so much. So one of the guys told me, come and cook chicken in my house. I said, no, bring the chicken to my house, let me cook. He said, no. He insisted. And that was the end of the relationship between me and him, because he was insisting that I come to his house. And I found that out of the standard that God gave me, and I was ready to let it go. That guy was ready to take me out of Nigeria within a space of time.
Wow.
It looked like the will of God, but he preached the standard, and I kept moving with the standard. At a point, it didn't look like it was possible, because like plenty men came, and when I give them the standard, they go. Sometimes I go back to God and say, this standard, is it ever going to work? My mom, I can never forget one day that my mom told me, are you looking for Jesus to marry? All these men that are coming, some of them are good. Why are you saying no? She didn't know there was a part that God told only me, and I talked to it. I never deviated from it. And when my husband came, I was not confused about it. I didn't have to go to ask God if he was the one, because he met the standard accurately. I told him, I said, I don't visit men. He said, I'm okay with it. And it looked like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, almost a year. He didn't panic. He was okay with it. And he comes to my house every day.
Wow.
Every day.
In a world where sex is now the norm, it's normalized, how were you able to abstain from sex in all this phase? How did you deal with sexual urges? How did you deal with sexual advances from opposite sex and all?
One of the things God helped me with was the standard he gave me. You can't have sex with a man on the street. You can't have sex with a man in your house.
Yeah.
So God gave me a standard and said, don't visit. I can only have sex with you when I visit you.
True.
So the standard helped me a lot. And I'm not saying that the standard must apply to other people. Maybe based on my consecration and God saw that was the best thing he could do.
So in the midst of seeing your friends who you were in the same age bracket with, and those people who you were older than, being married and having children, and seeing that you were not there yet, how did you handle it? How did you handle that stigma? How did you learn to be happy for them, even though that wasn't your situation?
It actually was not easy, because in the locality we were brought up, women are only given respect when they are married. And then the advice they give most of the ladies is, if you're getting married, move away from all the single ladies around you. So some of the friends I had that mentality. Some of them, we lost them, they had to leave. There was one that I were in it together, and later when God gave her husband, it now became like all of us were enemy of progress. Somebody gave her a counsel to stay away from all her single friends, because they can take the man away because of jealousy. And then she didn't filter her friends. She released us and we left her. I mean that it wasn't easy anyway, but I believe if you know what you want and you know your relationship with God, it will be very easy for you to tackle such. And then most of the things that trigger such bad feelings is jealousy. If you work on jealousy, I don't think you're going to find any problem as touching that. If you find a friend that is getting married and you're not getting married and you don't have a trace of jealousy, it is very easy to tackle that. But if you on your own end you have jealousy, then it's going to be very difficult, because that will burst a lot. And I think most of the ladies who try to abstain from their single friends mostly are afraid of jealous friends.
Yeah.
But at a point I made a lot of mistake with jealous friends, because even jealous friends don't even get jealous with you only on the basis of marriage. There are times that things didn't work out for me and some of my friends were celebrating. I was not too sensitive enough to know that these friends were not the kind of friends, and they were not genuinely in love with me. But at a point, I later found out that this one is not a friend. If a friend will not be happy for you when things are bad, if a friend will be rejoicing when things are bad with you, I think that friend has a question mark. So to wrap it all, if the main point there is just jealousy. If God has helped you to work on that part of your life, you will not have any problem with your friends.